Before attending the Order of the Bath service, Prince William and King Charles had a private moment. His Majesty was seen softly patted on the arm his son. Prince William was remarkable calm as King Charles disclosed his last request. So sincere. This heartfelt appeal broke through the formality in a society governed by custom and quiet, revealing what really matters to the king in his last chapter, and therefore potentially change the course of the monarchy. What precisely, though, did the king demand? And with what will Prince William rise to face it? Let's find the truth behind this forceful ask. Everything changed on September 8, 2022, a life waiting for the crown. Following Queen Elizabeth II's death, Charles entered the role he had been training for all of his life, breaking the record previously maintained by King William I, who was 64 when he became king back in 1830. He became the oldest person ever to reach the British throne at 73. This was decades in the making, as Charles had likewise been the longest-serving heir apparent in British history. Charles traveled the country for the first time as king the very next day. This was a poignant occasion that connected not just throughout the United Kingdom but also worldwide. He honored his mother's lifetime commitment, and most critically declared that William, his son, would inherit the Prince of Wales title, therefore indicating the obvious direction of the monarchy's future. The next days also created history. The Accession Council ceremony, where Charles was formally crowned king, was shown live for the first time ever, as important personalities including Queen Camilla, Prince William, the Prime Minister and past Prime Ministers supported him. Millions tuned in. Local officials around the Commonwealth countries openly declared Charles as the new king, therefore beginning the monarchy anew. King Charles made it plain right from the start that he wished to lead differently. With the earnings from Britain's offshore wind projects, he had moved boldly by July 2023. Charles chose to distribute most of the additional wealth back to the people, rather than saving most for royal needs. About 12% would sustain royal expenses, while the balance would benefit the country. Charles also made appearances on a worldwide scene as king. He and Queen Camilla hosted the President of South Africa for the first official state visit of his rule in November 2022. While letting the President of South Africa, King Charles, has paid his first state visit as king, playing a central part in the two-day historical celebration. Rich in legacy are the Duke and Duchess of Wales. He visited Germany the next year and became the first British king to speak before the German Parliament. He later spoke historically in the French Senate chamber. Long relationship between our countries also reflects the lifetime of your democracy. One of the most important events happened in October 2023, while visiting Kenya. British colonialism has resulted in a complex history for this nation. Charles candidly discussed the difficult past over a formal dinner, calling the violence horrible and unworthy. Though he did not formally apologize, his statements revealed a readiness to face hard facts, a sign of a king determined to bring about honest and courageous change. King Charles's rule veers abruptly in early 2024. Despite these stirring events, he had an enlarged prostate treated medically at the London clinic in January. The problem itself was not major, but during therapy doctors found another type of cancer unrelated to his prostate. This unanticipated diagnosis severely affected the king and his family. For someone who had only lately started his rule with much promise, it was a terrible blow. But Charles persisted. He carried on managing his royal responsibilities as best he could, displaying fortitude in the face of hardship even while doctors advised rest. Queen Camilla engaged in more public activities at this period. She gracefully and warmly carried the royal presence at important events such as the Royal Mandi ceremony at Worcester Cathedral and the Commonwealth Days ceremony at Westminster Abbey. The public's delight at seeing Charles at the Easter service held in Windsor's St. George's Chapel by March. He seemed upbeat and strong, thereby inspiring everyone around him. Then, when his health steadily recovered, word leaked out in April 2024 that the monarch would progressively be returning to public responsibility. Still, the road to complete recovery is unknown, which reminds all people, including kings, that even leaders must contend with difficult circumstances, calling for compassion and patience. Another health issue brought everything back into clear clarity as the world began to believe things were improving. Balmoral sees the king's last dream come to pass. King Charles's cancer treatment failed in March 2025, causing a brief hospital stay, and some postponed royal engagement. Supported by his family and the others close him, he shown calm strength in spite of the difficulties. But life was not simple at all. Balmoral Castle stood motionless and weighty with concern under the bleak Scottish heavens. News of the king's failing health was no more a whisper inside. It was a fact without question. Once robust and happy, Charles has become skinny and exhausted. The therapies sapped his vitality, and those close watched with sad hearts as time passed. Every moment appeared valuable. Tension permeated the castle, not only on the king's health, but also on the destiny of the monarchy itself. Crucially important talks became really urgent. Renowned for her bravery and dedication, Princess Anne was given a heavy responsibility, delivering the king's last wish. The royal household assembled in the Great Hall, pictures of former kings silently observing. Pale and shaking, Anne moved forward to share the king's unusual demand. Standing equal with Prince William, King Charles wanted Princess Catherine named Queen Consort. Shock and wonder mixed throughout the room. This audacious choice marked a new age and broke with decades of custom. Later, Anne admitted that she felt as though the very core of their family's narrative was under rewrite. Princess Anne's life had always been intimately linked to the throne. Born third in line, she rose fast to second upon the death of her grandpa in 1952, when her mother became Queen Elizabeth II. Anne stayed a unique member of the family even when additional royal children followed. Her governess, Catherine Peebles, took after Anne and her brothers with compassion and discipline, so guiding her early years at Buckingham Palace, Anne felt its magic even though she was too young to be at her mother's coronation in 19. She started a special Girl Guide organization, created exclusively for her at 9, the Buckingham Palace Company, where she followed in the footsteps of her mother and aunt, and enjoyed events with friends. Anne moved for the esteemed boarding school Bendon School in 1963, where she studied hard to get numerous GCEs and A-level. Now that lifetime allegiance made her the ideal carrier of her father's last, historical message. Anne has always loved horses really passionately. She developed into a remarkable equestrian and competed in big contests all around, not only for enjoyment. She created history in 1976 when she was the first royal from Britain competing in the Olympic Games. She already took 2 silver medals in 1975, and a gold medal in the 1971 European Eventing Championships earlier. Her ability and diligence won her much regard. But Anne's life goes beyond athletics. She has committed herself to serving others, supporting about 300 organizations with an eye toward health, education, sports, and handicap issues. She has been a devoted supporter of Save the Children for more than 50 years, quietly but powerfully traveling and promoting awareness of critical problems. Her personal life has had its own ups and downs. She wed Captain Mark Phillips in 1973. Their 2 children, Peter and Zara. Later on, Anne became a grandma to 5 grandkids she loves. Though her marriage to Mark came apart in 1992, love returned when she wed Commander Sir Timothy Lawrence the same year. Before they developed feelings, Timothy, a gentle and consistent man, had worked for her mother. The pair has stayed contentedly married ever since. The audience went quiet when Princess Anne revealed King's last wish to name Princess Catherine Queen Consort, alongside Prince William. Every eye went to Queen Camilla. Camilla had labored for years to win the respect of the country. Originally contentious, she became well known for her quiet demeanor and soft smile. She never wavering, stood by King Charles through thick and thin. But Anne's comments really rocked her. Those closest to Camilla saw her normal calm fade. Her eyes, usually clear, became foggy with grief. This choice went beyond following custom. It touched at the center of everything she had silently given years. For the king and family, Camilla had been a devoted friend and continual comfort. Her future now seemed hazy. Away from public view later that evening, Camilla confided in a close friend. She talked of the suffering she experienced following years of dealing with rumors, negative headlines, and personal uncertainty. She had put much effort to win the confidence of a country that had before questioned her. She hadn't expected the blow of her role in the family slipping silently. Still, Camilla was not unusual for suffering. She had gone through storms before and always found her way. She acknowledged in a letter to herself that change was unavoidable that evening. The royal family had to follow the times forward. She still missed the legacy she had silently created as well as the future she had dreamed for. Her speech was elegant and honest. She vowed to stay forward, to keep serving, and to be a consistent lighthouse among ambiguity. Camilla showed no evidence of grief in the next days. When expected, she grinned. She stood where needed and treated others around her politely. Those who knew her well, though, sensed the quiet power behind her eyes. A woman prepared to meet whatever lay ahead. Silent looks between family members and employees permeated Balmoral Castle. The old stone walls seemed to contain centuries of royal history, but today they had a new weight, a quiet tension mixed with concern, seeking tranquility among the mounting grief. Some family members quietly disappeared to secret areas of the estate. Every person battled personal ideas, stuck between a fear of what the future might bring and allegiance to long-standing customs. A staff member saw Princess Anne beside a towering window alone in a dimly lighted hallway, searching for peace in the familiar beauty of the country she loved. She gazed out at the chilly, bleak Scottish Highlands. A gathering of royal family and advisors assembled in a peaceful parlor elsewhere in the castle. Meantime, their talks were weighty, gravely lawyers discussed gently the effect of King Charles's last wish. They cautioned that his choice would alter centuries-old royal customs and call for careful approval, perhaps changing the monarchy's central line of authority. The king's decision felt both courageous and sad to many in that room. He sought to bequeath a stronger, more contemporary royal family even in his closing days. The king put his hopes for the future in Princess Catherine's hands by designating her to assume more responsibility. Though it promised fresh starts, this audacious action also provoked strong feelings among people observing their world subtly change. Renowned for her consistency, Princess Anne felt the weight of this moment more than most. She realized that change often requires personal sacrifice, even as she supported advancement. The king's wish went beyond titles. It related to reframing the monarchy's value. The castle hummed with whispers of change, subdued emotions, and a future that suddenly felt very near as the day drew to an end and the black Scottish sky sank above Balmoral. Princess Anne has traditionally been the consistent grounding agent in the royal family. The mood at Balmoral changed to one of uncertainty and concern when word of King Charles broke. Still, Anne stayed cool, the backbone the family most needed intact. She chose to concentrate on work rather than the limelight or royal drama, and from the age of 18 she carried more formal responsibilities than any previous royal. Others dodged difficult times or pursued celebrity, while Anne developed a reputation as dependable. Speaking her truth and following her own road, she combined respect of royal customs with personal freedom. She made a brave decision years ago, not to award royal titles to her children since she thought family came first. This revealed her great value of love over rich. Anne has stayed grounded even with her great profile. Simple deeds that highlight her independent attitude have seen her mending fences on her farm or driving herself to events. Anne, unlike many royals, does her own hair and makeup for major events, a tiny but telling indication of her self-reliance. People started loving her quiet strength over time instead of expecting gloss from her. She never drew attention, but she has silently sponsored several charities, especially those serving children and those with disabilities. Her involvement with groups like the Wet Wheels Foundation reveals her great sensitivity. Her style even captures her personality. Anne likes classic clothing, tweed coats, fitted suits, and combinations she has worn over years. She proved she valued significance over fashion trends by dressing in the same flowered dress to 2 weddings separated decades apart. Practical, reflective, and somewhat rebellious, Anne's love of horses and the countryside permeates all she undertakes. Her signature are comfortable shoes, jackets, fit for the elements, and basic jewelry. Still, she always pays a little grace, like a modest cap or a unique brooch, honoring the customs she values. Anne assembled her advisors following the king's speech. She expressed plainly about valuing the past, and yet welcoming the future with open eyes. She reminded everyone that although the future cannot be overlooked, history teaches vital lessons. Sometimes the old ways allow for change. Anne was eager to assist in that transformation. In the realm of royalty, every choice has significance much beyond what others might consider. King Charles chose this path. It goes beyond norms or custom as well. It concerns family, history, and the direction a centuries-old organization is headed. People around then questioned why King Charles made such an unexpected last request.
A king well known for his adherence to ancient conventions, abruptly turned in a daring new path. What drove this surprising decision? King Charles had strictly adhered to royal etiquette for years, honoring the practices handed down through the centuries. Underneath it all, though, some felt he wasn't terrified of losing control. Something more really worried him. The worry that the monarchy may grow out of date and cut off from the people it was supposed to be serving. New ideas and beliefs pushing for a royal family that seemed more modern, accessible, and relevant were driving fast changes in the world beyond the palace. Many of Balmoral's peaceful days find people saying Charles obviously anticipated the future. The monarchy ran the danger of disappearing without modification. His choice exuded hope. In Princess Catherine, he encountered someone who might revitalize the crown. Her standout was her natural connection with people, calm demeanor and politeness. Maybe she could honor the past while embracing the future, juggling custom with the modern world. Others saw Charles's decision guided by love for his family as well as for his country. He might have hoped to alleviate the weight by assigning this duty to a younger, tender heart, offering a fresh start following years of quiet conflicts and misunderstandings. It was a peaceful approach to mend old family scars. The moment for Queen Camilla was conflicting. She had silently gained popular respect and standing by Charles over trying circumstances for years. Though she gracefully embraced this choice, it seemed like a retreat. She realized that occasionally something old had to be let go if fresh development is to occur. She chose dignity above disappointment even if it hurt. The deed had been complete. The monarchs now had to negotiate this audacious remark. Rising over the British Isles, the sun marked not only the beginning of another day. Inspired by King Charles's unanticipated request, the royal family seemed to be starting a new chapter. Serious conversations abound in Balmoral and Buckingham Palace's great halls. There was melancholy, uncertainty, and difficult decisions to be taken. Renowned for her unflinching resolve, Princess Anne found herself in the middle of it all. She spent many hours attempting to strike a balance between respect for legacy and the expectations of the future. By talking with family members, lawyers and counselors, the road forward proved to be convoluted. Every choice would mark royal history, and everyone engaged felt the weight of it. Beyond the palace, people waited and watched. Many talked about the Kate effect, that warmth, friendliness, and natural grace Princess Catherine brought to every event. Over years the public had developed great affection for her. Now blessed by King Charles, it was her time to stand forward and assist in forming a more contemporary royal dynasty. Quietly at her side, Prince William was getting ready for the obligations ahead. While making it seem more accessible to the people, he realized the need of respecting the past of the monarchy. William and Catherine committed together to lead the royal family forward with tender hearts, hopeful spirits, and the conviction that change may be a great thing. It was the start of a delicate journey full of anxiety and optimism, but there was calm bravery in the air in those early morning hours as the sun's warm light reached the castle walls. Love, compassion, and consistent hearts had the ability to guide even in uncertain times and during long. And what followed would define not only a farewell but also a legacy. As the globe gasped, King Charles left legacy. Under flickering lights and long silent corridors at Balmoral Castle, a narrative of hope and sorrow developed. King Charles's health was failing, and his last instructions set off strong feelings and significant transformation. For Princess Anne and Queen Camilla, it was a period of great responsibility and heavy heart. Holding on to the heritage of a king who dared to choose a different route for the monarchy, they carried the weight of loss as well as the future. One face revealed serene power, the other harbored mild grief. Both realized that although anchored in long-standing customs, the road ahead would be challenging and would call for room for something fresh. The last minutes of King Charles counted much beyond his closest. People will remember his reign not only for the crown he wore but also for the audacious decisions he took before to bidding farewell. The royal family now stood at a crossroads. They were supposed to enter a world changing faster than ever, while honoring a past fashioned by millennia. More than a fresh day, the first light of daybreak touched Scotland's undulating highlands. For the monarchy it signaled a fresh chapter, but Charles had made his imprint even before he the throne. Founding the prince's trust back in 1976, he had a meager €7,500 saved from his Navy days. From a little charity what developed into a huge network transforming lives all throughout the UK and beyond. Charles started 16 more charities over the year. Each represented his great dedication to assist young people in finding employment, supporting persons with disabilities, preserving the environment and advocating justice. Even if it made some people uncomfortable, he did not hold back when denouncing injustice and brutality. Under a repressive government, Charles was among the few public personalities in Romania who freely advocated human rights. Through the Fara Foundation, he helped orphans. He made sure his donations touched individuals not only in Britain but also in Australia and Canada. Charles carried these ideas with him when he became monarch. His dream was of a monarchy embracing the future and yet appreciating its past. His last desires captured this concept. They were about optimism, bravery, and the necessity of change, not merely about titles or regal positions. That was a message for his family. Keep on what counts, however. Be courageous enough to let rid of what no longer. Princess Anne and Queen Camilla were going through both a sensitive and challenging period. Knowing their choices would affect the royal family for years to come, they bore both guilt and obligation. Built on millennia of custom, required to discover a means of remaining strong and significant in a modern society, the monarchy. It was obvious that King Charles's legacy would not vanish as the sun rose higher and flooded Balmoral's old hall, not only in history books, but also in the hearts and hands of those carrying on his work. His good deeds, compassion, and audacious decisions would endure. The balance between legacy and modernity becomes progressively more fragile as the royal family enters this new era. King Charles's legacy questions those who follow to respect the past and dare to change the future. How will Prince William negotiate the throne in these unsure times? What direction do you see the monarchy headed? Comment in the space provided below.